Hi, HR Nation. Welcome back to another episode of the HR Leaders Podcast, the show where we explore the future of work with industry experts and HR executives from the world's leading global brands. Today, we have a very special guest on the show. We're joined by Norm Smallwood, who's a leadership, organization design, and HR expert and co-founder at the RBL Group. How are you doing, Norm?
I'm doing great. Good to be here, Chris.
I can't believe that before we got started, for those that are listening, that I thought your background was a green screen, but it's actually the coolest Airbnb of all time. Tell us more.
Well, I'm visiting my mother in southern Alberta. She just had some cancer surgery, and so I needed an Airbnb, and this one is a small Airbnb. It has a bed and this room, so it's perfectly set up. And so I don't know if you can see, but there's a 100-inch.
That's what you need in there, just a bed and a 100-inch screen.
100-inch screen. Yeah, set up for Apple TV and Netflix. So
that's all you need in a soundproof room. What a coincidence that you're joining me on the show today and you happen to be in an Airbnb with a soundproof room and a 100-inch screen. You couldn't have worked it out any better. Well, look, thanks for joining me. It's really a pleasure to have you on the show. Obviously, for some time now, I've been, speaking with your partner in crime, Dave Ulrich, for many years, and now I finally get to meet the man that does all the work in the background, whilst Dave gets to get all the limelight.
That's right.
Tell me more about that relationship. How did that start?
Dave and I went to the same graduate school, but separated. He was a few years ahead of me. And we had a common business school professor named Bonner Ritchie, who decided that we should know each other. And we were on a faculty board, and that resulted in us writing a book with Jack Zenger called Results-Based Leadership. That became the beginning of a very long and productive partnership. Started in 1999.
Wow. And that's what RBL stands for?
Yeah,
for people that don't know.
Leadership. Yeah, that's what RBL stands for.
Yeah, I don't know why I've never asked Dave that before, because I think I found that out for the first time on our first call. I was like, oh, I didn't know that was what RBL standing for all these years. I should have probably asked that question.
Yeah, everybody thinks it's really big losers, but it's actually big leadership.
One thing I love about speaking to people like yourself and Dave and is this constant desire to disrupt yourselves, to reinvent yourselves. In fact, only last week when Dave was on our summit, he said, my old books, rip them up and throw them away.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? And it's like, we've come a long way since then. And it's actually really refreshing when you hear that. How have you managed to constantly innovate and, disrupt norm after so many years of working in this profession?
The truth of it is that we have really been driven by data as opposed to even more than theory. And so we're constantly doing research on things like right now we're doing the HR Competency Study, which is this global study we've done with HR associations across the world and with the University of Michigan. And every 3 or 4 years, we disrupt what we think through that data. We've had people from, especially from larger firms that have joined us and have built a practice around the data and sort of time one, and our education programs, our consulting all shifts probably 15-20% every single time we do that study in HR. Then we did the same thing in the leadership space when we were doing both the top companies for leaders, and we've been sponsored in Asia by government of Singapore to do different studies in Southeast Asia, and it keeps disrupting yourself. And we're doing the same thing now, where some of our favorite models have been challenged based on the results that, and it's both exciting and discouraging when that happens, but it's certainly disruptive. And so, and it's kind of nice to create the conditions where others are fast followers to us disrupting. And so this one we're doing now is probably the most disruptive that we've had. And that's why Dave would have made the comment about rip up the books. So.
Yeah. So tell everyone more. So for those that aren't aware, you've just launched the organizational guidance system, RBL.ai. I know this is something that you and Dave and the team have had in the works for a while. I can only assume that COVID accelerated that.
Well, COVID gave us the time to do it
Oh,
because
finally you had some time.
probably 60 to 70% of our business, like many of, once COVID hit, it just changed the rules of the game significantly. And
So what is it for everyone listening? What is the organizational guidance system? Explain that to everyone.
most companies invest about 1% of their revenue on people and organization initiatives. And those people and organization initiatives are leadership, HR, talent, and organization capabilities. Our metaphor for what we're doing is a portfolio. So it's an organization and people portfolio representing those dimensions that I just went through. The other side of it is that we link those initiatives directly to business results. And the reason that we feel like we've got a unique opportunity here is because this notion of being results based and focusing on outcomes and outside in started with results based leadership, the book that we wrote, and then followed on with a number of other books, leadership brand on the customer, victory through organization, on org capabilities, how leaders build value, and the leadership capital index on investors. So our work has and the IP from our work is really consistent with this idea, and we've just pulled it all together and put it on this. All of the IP that we've developed over the last 20, 30 years is we've baked into this portfolio logic.
Mm-hmm. And how does it work for everyone from a practical sense? I know it's got, without being too complicated, give everyone an overview. And you say, always, guys, people will be listening, thinking, how does it work from a practical sense? What is it?
Typically, what people do today is when they do an assessment. So let's say you were going to do a leadership assessment. When you got your results would be best practice type results. So you'd compare your scores to either your own scores over time, or usually there's some kind of a global benchmark. And when you get a global benchmark to your assessment results, you either fix weaknesses or you build on your strengths. And each of those take you in a little bit different directions. This takes you in a little bit different direction. We've found a third alternative, which is to say, is rather than to start with the activity and to see if it impacts something, we start with the outcome. If we think about financial results, strategic results, customer employee results, or community results, CSR results, then we start with those, and people do the same kind of an assessment that we've been doing for years that before led to the either fixing weaknesses or building on strengths. But now we can, at the end of the assessment, we can say, depending on which outcome you're looking for, we identify the dimensions of these leadership, talent, HR capability pathways, and the specific dimensions of the pathway that will deliver the specific results you're looking for. Or a few times we've found that it's really hard for people to pick what their outcome is. There's such a strong logic around starting with the activity and then going to the result. But sometimes we'll say, okay, well, which of these areas most impact all your results? And so there's even a narrower set of, and when I say dimensions, so if you were within leadership, we've got 5 dimensions of leadership. So we've got building a business case, having a leadership profile, measuring, investing, managing reputation, and so on. And talent has 9, organization has 13, HR has 9. So we not only tell generally leadership will have an impact, but where in leadership or where in talent or what in HR will drive which specific outcomes. you started with disruptive. This is a very disruptive logic, in some ways has been so disruptive that it takes a few times hearing it to really get what we're talking
So
about.
just to
It
clarify,
sounds really good.
yeah, no, I get it. And I appreciate from your point of view, it's so ingrained in your mind, but having to simplify it for the listeners. So just to be clear, there's four key pathways, right? So you've got talent or capability, HR effectiveness, and leadership. And then
Yep.
underneath each of those, you have multiple subsections.
Yeah, that's right. And those subsections are the IP that we've developed in each of the
Exactly.
four pathways over the years.
Hmm.
And so when people get their results, they're very specific, right? It's
And they're actionable.
and actionable, right? So exactly right. You've got it.
So why has no one done this before?
That's a great question, and we're really happy right now that they haven't. We started with this years ago. I mean, this has been our holy grail for 25 years. When Dave and I have written every book, every article that we've written, starting with results-based leadership, has been talking about this idea of outside in, that really it's about starting with the market and your stakeholders in the market. Again, nobody's done it before because people don't start with that. Most is inside out, right? So when we
Mm.
talk about leadership, it's leadership inside the firm. If we talk about culture, it's what culture is, its values and behaviors. When we talk about culture, we're talking about how do leaders connect employees to customers, right? So we started at a different place. And I think that's probably the right answer. We've been very psychological in investor and in our initiatives around people and organization. And this is starting with business, not
Hmm.
with the psychology. The psychology is still important. The individual is still critical, but it's just starting from a different place and get you with different results.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly why many of our listeners and HR practitioners all around the world have been drawn to your and Dave's work for so long. That's really the direction that we're moving, especially with HR. We've come a long way since I've only been in this game for 15 years, so I can only imagine where you saw it come from to where, not that I want to age you, to where it is now. It's come a long way, right? From where we started.
Years ago, I had a guru in HR. I remember retired. I won't say who it is, but when he retired after a long career, written many books, we were talking. I said, "Well, what's your biggest regret about leaving?" And he said, "I still haven't got HR people to focus on the business." I mean, that was 20 years ago that he said that, right after his career of.
Still people saying that.
Still people were saying that. Yeah.
What
So
what are your overall aspirations for the organization guidance system?
it was great of you to start with the disruptive. We really see the COVID world has started a disruption that we would like to continue. We started with the results, but we would like to change how people approach our four pathways: leadership, organization capabilities, talent, and HR. And so we've started this so that people have a free version. And in that free version, we'd love as many people as possible to come in and use it. In the free version, you get very specific results that will be very helpful to your organization. And again, you said rbl.ai, go free. Try it out. And we hope that by creating this free version, we can get a lot of people we used to charge for all of these assessments, right? Our
Yeah, no,
business model
that's
was this.
something that people listening right now definitely take advantage of that before they change their mind.
So not only is it free, but the results that you get are really useful diagnostics that will point in a direction that will get more results. And so what we want to do is scale this globally and change the way that to convert people to our outside in way of approaching this, and really for the first time have HR and business leaders really focused on very similar outcomes. We can get out of this argument about how HR, what is the value of HR, and what are the things that we could do to manage this portfolio better. So
Hmm.
I'll go back to one other thing I said just to be really explicit. So if you have a $10 billion organization, if in revenue, so 1% of 10 billion is 100 million. And so we're saying we can show you how to improve that $100 million investment that your company has in HR. If you have $1 billion organization, obviously 10 million. If you're, and to just scale it down, just do 1%. And again, you should be able to get at least a 10% better return, either by focusing on the things that we recommend, or by not investing in things that won't have an impact. Either one are going to have a positive result.
And just to be clear, the value for you in terms of giving it away is also enriching your data, right? And then in order to continuously improve and it provide more insights. Is that right? I'm sorry, just sorry if I'm putting
No,
words
that's
in your mouth.
absolutely right. Yeah, we've got a subscription model. People can move and get even more value in the subscription model. Yeah, but what was so hard for us pre-COVID is that when we were thinking about when our business model was selling the assessments and then getting work based on the results of the assessment, it just changed the dynamics. But yeah, now in this freemium model, I guess is the term for it, we get a huge data lake. The results get for everyone, for us and for everyone that participates, it just gets better and better, right? Because we can more accurately determine which initiatives have how much impact and where on these business outcome areas or business
Mhm.
results.
It also means in this new model, though, that yourself and the team can impact so many more people all over, around the world. This model's scalable. Your
Totally
previous model
scalable.
is not so. It's you're constricted on time and location, etc. Right, the work that you traditionally did, but with this, you can really impact millions of employees and businesses around the world, and it's scalable.
And the size of the business doesn't matter, right? So before, if somebody wanted to work with RBL, I mean, what's been fun is we've had Thai companies and Indonesian companies that are small companies that can, come in and use this freemium version and get results that they never would have had access to, at least through us, because they had to pay
There's
for it.
a lot of budgets. There's a lot of the
Yeah,
organization. Everyone has access to information now, and of
everybody
course, if
gets
they
it.
want to take that step further, they can do that with you. But I think the
Yep.
approach you've taken, and especially with all the years of research and IP you have behind it, I think that's where where you have a unique approach. Is that you have the IP, right? And you can't buy that.
Yeah.
As
No, yeah.
well, and all
Yeah.
the
We're not making this up, right?
yeah,
We didn't
exactly.
create a technology platform and then figure out how to what the right content was. I mean, just one other comment on it that again that's so different for us, which is that we've also said that we're going to be solution agnostic. So if somebody and people have been surprised that we've said that too. And what I mean by solution
You mean
agnostic
you could
is,
recommend a solution off the back of that?
yeah, they don't have to. Well, they don't have to use RBL for the solution, right? Which whatever we identify as the dimension or the area with the highest impact, we'd love to work with them, but they may have their favorite consulting company, or they may want to do it on their own. They have a team of
Mhm.
highly qualified people, and again, that's just not what our former business model was. I mean, so it's scalable, and we hope to over time be tracking the the types of, not over time, we're already tracking it in terms of our implementation inside companies in the subscription model. So we'll be able to share that info. So if you wanted to improve employee engagement and track it, what kinds of initiatives have the most impact on customers, or what kind of initiatives have the most impact on financial results, and which consulting companies were able to have more impact than others. We want to be able to recommend who the best in the world are to do whatever you're doing, or what their approach was that would enable you to do it better. So it's again, we are stepping away
Just at
from
the
our
beginning, aren't
comfort
you? It
zone.
seems like you're just at the beginning of this process.
We're at
There's
the
so
beginning.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
so much, and that's another thing that always inspires me is just the continuous energy that you all have to just the passion after I'm not again I don't want to age you and Dave, but after all these years, the passion and energy that you bring to your work, it just there's no I don't think I could see you and Dave ever retiring.
We both talk about that, and now we're working on this. We're saying, "Gee, this is so energizing for
Yeah.
us." I mean, Dave and I talk multiple times a day and are so excited by what we're doing. I mean, for us, we both say this is for both of us the pinnacle of anything we've done before, because we what we really hope is that it's Dave always talks about ideas with impact, but it's creating sustainable ideas with impact, because someday we won't be around to continue this. I don't expect I'll be doing this when I'm 90, but for the next few years, I can't imagine anything more fun to do than what we're doing here.
Hmm. Just out of curiosity, how long does it typically take to take the assessment?
Oh, great question. We've got four
Okay.
pathways,
Okay.
and each of the pathways take depending on which one you do, between 12 and 15 minutes. No, they're very quick. And so somebody could come in and just do one of the pathways. You could say, gee, I'm just interested in leadership or HR.
Hmm.
And so do the HR pathway. And the HR pathway, I think, takes about 15 minutes. Or you could do, I think the leadership one takes 12.
Okay, so
So
there's not a lot of
just
time
depending
either
on
for people to
no, you could just
considering the
do one, you
value.
could do all four. Yeah, yeah. The value is embedded. So really love you to come in and do it. So try
Yeah,
it.
and I'm sure there's some people wondering, Norm, as well. When did Norm and Dave learn how to code?
I should have talked about that. We are partnering with Alan Todd, and who's the founder and CEO at CorpU.
Mhm.
And Alan has been through this through the tech side. Right now, he's got a tech-enabled development business, but he's been through the broader kind of building a tech business. And this is a joint venture with CorpU. And believe me, once we get into this implementation where we're going now, the front end of this was our IP from RBL, but all of the back end is really CorpU, and so nice to have a partner that knows how to do things that you don't.
Yeah, sounds like a match made in heaven.
I think so. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. How did that, or not to go into too much detail, how did that relationship come to life?
Well, CorpU's business model is that they go to people who primarily write books, so authors of books. And so I'm not sure if they're broader than Harvard Business School Press, but Dave and I have written multiple books from Harvard Business School Press. And every time we write a book, they came and offered to put it on the CorpU platform. And we never did it. We always, in the face-to-face model pre-COVID, we were just never that interested. And so that's how we knew them
Hmm.
and liked them. And we were in the pre-COVID, we were talking about beginning to put some of our education materials on the CorpU platform. And since COVID, we've put everything we do on CorpU beyond anything to do with OGS. But yeah, that's how we met. It was again it wasn't a competitive, but a very collaborative type of. They had very different skills than we did.
Hmm.
So and
And
Alan's just a delightful guy, and his
yeah,
sister Sue and their team there just really good to work with.
it's incredible because timing is almost everything, isn't it? Indeed, with these things, and no one could have foreseen where we are now and where we've gone. But those are the relationships that you kind of don't really understand the value until these moments happen where you're like, oh, it's the perfect opportunity for us to collaborate and create something truly special and bring your dreams and your aspirations to life. And then you have someone who, the amount of times I say to Shane, my co-founder, we need a CTO, even though we're a business that does physical events, but with the
Right.
amount of ideas we have around applications in this space of HR technology, but you need that skill set, which is a very sought after set of skills to have.
No, you need the skill set, and you need something really disruptive to happen, like COVID, if you're really going to push it all the way through. My last meeting that I had before COVID was classic. It was with a large tech company that had been disrupted by the cloud and the slowing of Moore's law, which is what's happening with every tech company. And so and so the conversation was about how they needed to change their business model, because with everything going to the cloud, having equipment as your business model. So it's the old notion that Clay Christensen's idea of the innovator's dilemma. What you do really well, and what we did well, what you're saying you and Shane did really well, is really hard to stop doing and to start doing something else, because you know how to do it and it works, and it's really hard to believe that something's going to change what you've learned how to do, and customers are buying, and it's so exciting. So the skills plus the opportunity seem to be and to believe that you can change rather than it will all go back to the same way. That's just classic innovator's dilemma, right? It's hard for businesses, it's hard for individuals to stop doing what made them successful to do something new. And even when they've got the skills,
Yeah.
you need the confluence, right, to do that. And you guys have changed over the years, dramatically, right? In terms of
We had all of the things we're doing now, and we've never been more profitable, which is crazy to think, because 8 months ago, 80% of our business disappeared overnight. Our physical work that we
right.
did with clients, and that's similar with yourselves, right?
Yep.
And a lot of the ideas that we're now working on now, we already had them. And we already built them. Actually, they were sitting on the shelf, not physically, but they were sitting on the shelf of all these new ideas. They're not necessarily new. It's just that we never thought that they would work, or that it would add as much value as we underestimated the value of it. And we kind of got to the point where let's just throw it all out there into the universe and let the audience decide, and let our customers decide. And to our surprise, these are things that people have been wanting longing for for a long time. We're now seeing this in the workplace, right? How disruptive it's been to changing hundreds of years of way people have been working, have now been disrupted in a matter of 8 months, 9 months.
Yeah.
And I don't think we're ever going to go back. But I do think it's that sustained disruption which helped. Like, I think if we had a couple of months and then COVID, and we had, and COVID disappeared, I don't think it would have, everyone would have just reverted. But because it's been like what, a year now, almost of sustained.
Started February, right? So
Yeah.
it's coming up to a year.
Yeah, it's almost a year. I think that is really where kind of the realization. Unfortunately, some companies are only now starting to shift, and they're the ones that are kind of going out of business. Whereas I said to the team, we can either sit back and see how this plays out, and furlough all of our employees, or we can go full steam ahead. So whilst everyone else is trying to figure this out, let's just go. And at least we're controlling our destiny. And
let's get a
that
70% solution. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like, and the team were unanimous. It wasn't my decision. We did it together as a business, and they were like, I don't want to sit out and hope and rely on. You just don't know, right? Again, like, it's just, and I saw what happened even though I was pretty young, I saw what happened in the 2008 crash. And it was those companies that kept continuing and pushing and innovating that come out to be some of the most well-known, profitable, value-adding companies of all time. And the others, some of the biggest giants, actually just fell
Right.
from the top of the mountain during that period. So I was like, I'm not going to let history repeat itself in my business. It's like, let's take charge of that as well. So it's been really cool to see how you've innovated, and other companies around have pushed through and reinvented themselves. The whole innovate or die became very real for everyone.
Yeah,
But
and it took us a long time to get together, but really enjoyed the opportunity to talk about it. And again, if if you've got listeners that just want to try the free version out, and if the version that the difference between our subscription model and our free model is that when we shift to subscription, you're comparing your results to your own business. So you're bringing it inside, and everything is focused just on you, as opposed to in the free version, we're getting we're building the data from a consolidated. So it's the results of all of the companies that are participating,
mhm.
and versus the scores that you get in your activity. So both really valuable, but take it even one more step in value in the subscription model.
Yeah.
So
Is that through like APIs that then connect into
yeah,
the systems that these organizations have, and that way you can use it, link the data, gain the data that way? Is that how it works?
yes, yes. So we're linking for the so the we're monitoring both the pathways and the dimensions within the pathways around like what are the solutions or projects that you're using to improve,
Hmm.
and we're linking those to the business, the outcome API. So if you
Okay.
have, a net promoter score for customer, or
Hmm.
EBITDA for profitability, right? So the company picks the measures within the outcomes, and so there's a mapping exercise, and then we can, again, if everybody's worked on levels of measurement, and we're trying to take it to the ROI level, but we'll also measure on the way the satisfaction and sort of intervening between specific outcomes and that, like satisfaction and so on. We'll measure all of that in between.
Hmm.
It's the only way we can get all the way to know whether uh, a project or a solution that you tried really did have impact. And so they would get guidance and or scorecards, along the way, and be able to really track and get specific guidance on where to go next. And again, we're keeping the price of the subscription way down as well. So again, really excited about this, and thanks for the opportunity here to talk about more.
That's very exciting, and I'm really happy to have you on the show and share this to the listeners. So if you're listening now, go head over to rbl.ai, check it out. It's free. Take 15 minutes, 12 minutes if you're fast. So do that as well. And where can people connect with you, Norm, if they want to reach out to you personally and say hello?
Love to hear from you. N Smallwood at rbl.net. N Smallwood at rbl.net.
Amazing. I'll make sure I'll link that in the description for anyone listening as well. And also we can connect with you on LinkedIn, right? As well.
Absolutely. Yeah, love to hear from you on LinkedIn
Perfect,
as well.
perfect. Well, look, thanks for coming on the show, Norm. It means a lot, and I'm super excited for you and Dave. I'm genuinely really happy for you both, and I can see the energy and passion that it's kind of taken to a whole nother level now. So no retiring anytime
No
soon.
retiring. No retiring.
How's your family feel about it? They're like, come on, Norm, that's enough now. Pack it up.
Yeah, I think my wife is ready to hear more about retirement. Although I think if I retired, then I'd be around too much, right?
Yeah,
So
she want to go back to
I'm
work.
happy to go back to work.
I think my wife, even though I'm pretty young now, she already knows I'm going to be a nightmare if I retire. So she's like, just keep going. It's fine.
You'll be fine.
It's not work when you love what you do, though, right, Norm? I think that's
It's not. It really isn't. Like I said, if I wasn't getting, and I'm not getting paid to develop any of this, and I mean, it's just so satisfying to do it, right? In so
yeah,
many ways. So
amazing. For everyone listening, thanks for joining us as always. If you're new to the podcast, please like, comment, share, tag in colleagues, share the link with colleagues that you feel would gain value from the episode. Apart from that, enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you again soon, Norm. Thanks a lot.
thanks, Chris.